Queen Zixara sat on her crystalline throne, her 6 arms crossed in amusement. The holographic display before her showed a small blue planet called Earth. Her purple scales shimmered as she laughed, a sound like breaking glass echoing through the royal chamber. "These creatures dare to call themselves warriors?" she asked, pointing at the images of humans with one of her clawed hands. "Look at them. 2 arms, 2 legs, soft skin with no natural armor. They cannot even breathe in space without their primitive suits." Her war council gathered around the display. General Korth, a massive creature with stone-like skin, nodded in agreement. "Your Majesty speaks truth. Our scouts report they have only colonized their own moon and a few nearby planets. Their ships are slow, using chemical rockets and basic fusion drives." The Queen's advisor, a thin being with translucent skin named Vex, added more information. "Their military forces are divided among hundreds of separate nations. They fight among themselves constantly. Their weapons are projectile-based, nothing compared to our plasma cannons and energy shields." Queen Zixara stood, her 12-foot frame towering over even her tallest generals. "Then conquering Earth will be child's play. We will add their resources to our empire, and perhaps keep some humans as curiosities in our zoos." She turned to General Korth. "Prepare the fleet. We attack in 7 rotations." The Zephron Empire had conquered 1,000 worlds. Their technology was superior, their warriors bred for combat over millennia. Each Zephron soldier had natural armor plating, enhanced strength from their homeworld's high gravity, and redundant organs that made them nearly impossible to kill. "Send a message to Earth," the Queen commanded. "Tell them to surrender now and we will be merciful. If they resist, we will show no quarter." The message was transmitted across the stars. On Earth, the United Nations assembled in an emergency session. The alien queen's image appeared on screens worldwide, her voice translated into every human language. "Humans of Earth," Queen Zixara announced, her mandibles clicking with each word. "I am the eternal ruler of the Zephron Empire. Your planet now belongs to us. You have one of your Earth days to surrender unconditionally. Your primitive weapons cannot harm us. Your soldiers are weak compared to our warriors. Save yourselves needless death and submit." The transmission ended. In military bases across Earth, generals and admirals looked at the data their satellites had gathered. The alien fleet was massive. 500 ships, each one dwarfing humanity's largest vessels. Their technology seemed centuries ahead, but in those same military bases, something else was happening. Soldiers weren't panicking, scientists weren't despairing. Instead, phones rang with a singular purpose. Old protocols, gathering dust since the first detection of alien signals decades ago, were activated. General Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Force stood before her assembled commanders. "They think we're weak because we're small, because we don't have claws or natural armor." She smiled grimly. "They've never faced humans in war. They don't know what we're capable of when our backs are against the wall." In Moscow, Colonel Dmitry Volkov was already mobilizing his forces. In London, Admiral James Wellington prepared the Navy. In Tel Aviv, Commander Ruth Goldman activated cyber warfare units. In Tokyo, General Hiroshi Tanaka readied the orbital defense platforms. The aliens had made a critical error. They judged humanity by their biology, not their history. They saw soft skin and called it weakness. They didn't know about Thermopylae, where 300 held against thousands. They didn't know about Stalingrad, where a city refused to fall. They didn't know about the warriors who fought with sticks and stones when ammunition ran out. Most importantly, they didn't know about humanity's greatest strength, their ability to unite when faced with extinction. Within hours, old enemies were sharing military secrets. Russian and American scientists worked side by side. Chinese and Indian factories retooled for war production. The entire planet became one vast military machine. Queen Zixara watched the Earth's response from her throne ship. She saw the mobilization and laughed again. Look how they scramble like insects. Send the first wave. Show them the futility of resistance. The first Zephron attack ships entered Earth's atmosphere above New York City. Their plasma cannons charged, ready to turn the city to glass as an example to the rest of the planet. But humans had been preparing for this possibility since they first looked at the stars and wondered if they were alone. And they had one advantage the Queen hadn't considered. Humans were very, very good at war. The Zephron attack ships descended through Earth's atmosphere with shields glowing bright blue. Their crews were confident, even bored. They had done this 1,000 times before on 1,000 different worlds. The pattern was always the same. Appear in the sky, fire a few shots, watch the primitives surrender in terror. Commander Zektor led the first wave. His ship's scanners showed the human city below, millions of life forms packed into tall structures. "Target the tallest building," he ordered. "One shot should—" The ship lurched violently. Warning alarms screamed. Zektor grabbed his command chair as his vessel spun out of control. "What happened?" "Kinetic impact!" his weapons officer shouted. "Something hit us at incredible speed." Below them, humanity's first response had begun. Not with advanced energy weapons or exotic technology, but with simple physics. Orbital defense platforms, disguised as communication satellites, had fired tungsten rods at significant fractions of light speed. No shields could stop pure kinetic energy at that velocity. 3 Zephron ships crashed into the Atlantic Ocean. The others raised their shields to maximum and returned fire, their plasma beams turning 2 defense platforms to molten metal. But more tungsten rods were already on their way. General Chen watched from her command bunker. "Phase 1 complete. Begin Phase 2. Across the globe, missile silos opened. Not nuclear weapons. Humans had learned those would be useless against alien shields. Instead, thousands of modified ICBMs launched, each carrying a special payload. The Zephron ships easily shot most of them down, their point defense systems tracking the primitive rockets with contemptuous ease. But that was the plan. Each destroyed missile released a cloud of graphene nanopaper, sheets of carbon 1 atom thick, nearly invisible to sensors. The clouds drifted through the air, settling on the alien ship's shields. Within minutes, the shields began to flicker and fail as the graphene interfered with their energy matrices. "Impossible!" Zektor roared as his ship's defenses collapsed. "How did they know our shield frequency?" The answer was simple. Humans had been listening to space for decades. Every transmission, every scan, every piece of alien technology that passed through their solar system had been studied. They might not have been able to build Zephron shields, but they had learned how to break them. With their shields compromised, the alien ships were vulnerable. Human fighter jets, upgraded with railguns and plasma weapons reverse-engineered from captured alien probes, swarmed the invaders. The Zephron warriors were shocked. These primitive aircraft shouldn't have been able to scratch their hulls, yet human pilots were finding weak points with uncanny accuracy. Lieutenant Maria Rodriguez lined up her shot on a Zephron engine port. Her grandfather had been a fighter pilot too, in a different war, against human enemies. But the principle was the same. Find the weakness, exploit it, survive. Her railgun fired, the hypervelocity projectile punching through the alien armor. The Zephron ship's engine exploded, sending it spinning into the Hudson River. On the ground, Zephron shock troops deployed from the remaining ships. Each warrior stood 9 feet tall, covered in natural armor that could deflect conventional bullets. They expected to wade through human defenders like gods among mortals. Master Sergeant Jake Thompson watched them advance through his scope. The alien warriors moved with confidence, not bothering to take cover. Why would they? Their intelligence said human weapons couldn't penetrate their armor. Thompson smiled grimly and squeezed the trigger. The armor-piercing round, tipped with depleted uranium and designed specifically for this moment, punched through the lead Zephron's chest plate. Purple blood sprayed across the street as the alien warrior fell, shock evident in its 4 eyes even as it died. "Weapons free," Thompson radioed. "Light them up." The Zephron advance turned into chaos. Human soldiers appeared from hidden positions, firing weapons that shouldn't have been able to hurt them. Worse, the humans didn't fight like any species they had encountered. When ammunition ran low, they used explosives. When explosives ran out, they fought hand-to-hand with monomolecular blades that could slice through Zephron armor. Private Kim Lee found herself facing a wounded Zephron warrior. The alien, even injured, was stronger and faster. But Kim had trained in mixed martial arts since childhood. She dodged its wild swings, got inside its reach, and drove her combat knife into a joint gap in its armor. The warrior collapsed, unable to comprehend how such a small, soft creature had defeated it. In orbit, Queen Zixara watched the battle feeds in growing disbelief. Her elite warriors, bred for combat, were being pushed back by humans a third their size. Her advanced ships were falling from the sky. Her certain victory was turning into a bloodbath. "Send the second wave," she commanded. "All of it. Overwhelm them with numbers." 200 more Zephron ships dropped from orbit. But Earth was ready. Hidden missile bases in Antarctica, disguised mining operations on the ocean floor, and secret installations in every major mountain range came alive. Humanity had turned their entire planet into a fortress. The Queen's advisors tried to explain what was happening. "Your Majesty, their tactics are unlike anything in our databases. They sacrifice themselves to save others. They fight when wounded. They use their own bodies as weapons when nothing else remains." Queen Zixara slammed her fist on her throne. "They are primitives, soft, weak primitives." But even as she spoke, more of her ships burned in Earth's atmosphere. The humans weren't just defending. They were learning. Each wave taught them more about Zephron technology, tactics, and weaknesses. The battle for Earth had raged for 12 hours. Burning Zephron ships littered the planet's surface, their advanced technology now scrap metal. But the aliens kept coming, and humanity was running low on resources. Every tungsten rod had been fired, every missile launched. Now it would come down to determination. Queen Zixara could no longer contain her rage. Half her invasion fleet was gone. The casualty reports were staggering. Species with natural weapons and armor were losing to creatures that needed tools for everything. "Prepare my royal guard," she commanded. "I will finish this myself." Her advisors protested. No Zephron ruler had entered personal combat in 1,000 years, but the Queen would not be dissuaded. She donned her ceremonial battle armor, ancient and powerful, and descended to Earth with her elite warriors. The Queen's ship landed in Nevada, near a human military base. She emerged with 500 of her finest guards, each one a veteran of countless conquests. Her armor hummed with energy shields that could withstand a direct nuclear blast. General Chen received the intelligence immediately. "The Queen is on the ground. All units converge on Nevada. This is our chance." But the Queen had learned from her earlier mistakes. Her guards formed defensive positions, their weapons creating overlapping fields of fire. They advanced slowly, methodically, destroying everything in their path. Human forces threw everything they had at the Royal Guard. Tanks, aircraft, artillery, nothing could penetrate their enhanced shields. The Queen laughed as she personally vaporized a human tank with her arm-mounted plasma cannon. "You see?" she broadcast on all frequencies. "This is the difference between the Zephron and humanity. We are evolution perfected. You are merely clever animals." That's when she noticed something odd. The human attacks were lessening. Their forces were pulling back. Had they finally accepted defeat? Then she saw him. A single human soldier walking toward her position. No armor, just standard military fatigues. He carried something in his hands. a white flag. The Queen's guards tensed, but she raised a hand. Let him approach. Let's hear humanity's surrender. The soldier stopped 50 meters away. He was young, maybe mid-20s. His hands shook slightly, but his voice was steady. I'm Corporal David Park, United Earth Defense Force. I've been sent to deliver a message. Speak, the Queen commanded. Beg for mercy, though you shall find none. David looked directly at her, and for the first time in her long life, Queen Zixara felt a chill. There was no fear in those eyes, only resolution. The message is this, David said. We don't surrender. Ever. He dropped the flag, revealing a dead man's switch in his hand. The Queen's enhanced senses detected the radiation signature a moment too late. Nuclear weapons cannot penetrate our shields, she said, though uncertainty crept into her voice. David smiled sadly. We know. But you're standing on top of the Nevada test site. We've been digging here since the 1950s. There are about 300 nuclear warheads in the tunnels beneath your feet. Old ones, new ones, some experimental antimatter devices we've been working on. His thumb hovered over the trigger. Your shields protect you from above, but from below, simultaneously from every direction. The Queen's advisors were screaming in her ear. Seismic sensors detected massive explosive charges throughout the tunnel system. Not just nuclear weapons, conventional explosives designed to collapse the entire underground complex, creating a focused shockwave that would compress and amplify the nuclear detonations. You would die too, the Queen said. Yes, David replied simply. But Earth survives. That's what humans do. We sacrifice. We endure. We find a way. You thought we were weak because we're small, because we don't have natural weapons. But evolution didn't give us claws or armor. It gave us something better. It gave us the ability to think, to adapt, to work together. And it gave us the will to do whatever it takes to protect our home. The Queen looked around. Her guards were nervous now. They had conquered species that fought to the last warrior, but never one that would turn their entire planet into a weapon. Never one where ordinary soldiers would walk calmly to certain death just to take their enemies with them. More humans were approaching now. Not soldiers, civilians, men, women, children, elderly. They surrounded the alien position, all carrying devices. Some had explosives, others had mining equipment, all ready to fight with whatever they had. Your Majesty, her general whispered, if we kill them all, if they detonate those weapons... The Queen understood. Even if her shields held, even if some of her guards survived, they would be trapped on a hostile planet with no support. The humans would keep coming. They would never stop. For the first time in her reign, Queen Zixara considered retreat. You ridiculed us, David continued, called us weak. But strength isn't just about physical power. It's about will. It's about standing up when you've been knocked down. It's about protecting those who can't protect themselves. It's about being willing to pay any price for freedom. The Queen's tactical display showed more bad news. Human forces weren't just defending Earth anymore. Captured Zephron ships, crewed by humans who had learned their systems in mere hours, were attacking her supply lines. Mars Colony had weaponized their mining ships. The asteroid belt colonies had turned mass drivers into siege weapons. This is impossible, she muttered. No, David said. This is humanity. The standoff continued. The Queen's pride warred with her survival instinct. Around her, human voices began to rise. Not in anger or fear, but in song. Different languages, different melodies, but all carrying the same message: defiance. Queen Zixara had conquered 1,000 worlds. She had never lost a battle. But standing there, surrounded by a species that would rather die than kneel, she realized something. She had already lost. Terms, she said finally, the word bitter in her mouth. David lowered the detonator slightly. Complete withdrawal. All Zephron forces leave Earth's solar system immediately. No return, ever. Any technology you've lost stays with us, and you personally apologize for underestimating humanity. The Queen's pride screamed against it, but her guards were looking at her, waiting. More humans were arriving every minute. The entire planet had mobilized against her. The Queen began, then stopped. The words were harder than any battle. I apologize. The Zephron Empire underestimated humanity. We judged you by appearance, not by spirit. We will withdraw. The humans began to pull back, creating a corridor. David gestured toward the Queen's ship. Then go, and spread the word to every species in the galaxy. Earth is protected. Humans are not to be underestimated. As Queen Zixara boarded her ship, she turned for one last look. The human soldier still stood there, detonator in hand, ready to die if she betrayed her word. Around him, thousands of his species stood ready to do the same. The Queen had ridiculed human strength. Now she understood it. Their strength wasn't in their bodies or their technology. It was in their refusal to accept defeat, their willingness to sacrifice everything for each other, their ability to unite against any threat. As the Zephron fleet retreated from Earth's solar system, the Queen issued one final order. Mark this system as forbidden. No Zephron ship is ever to return. She paused, then added quietly, the humans are too dangerous. On Earth, David Park finally lowered the detonator. His hands shook harder now, the adrenaline wearing off. General Chen's voice crackled through his earpiece. Well done, Corporal. Though next time, maybe we don't volunteer to stand on top of nuclear weapons? David laughed, the sound carrying both relief and exhaustion. Copy that, General, though I don't think there will be a next time. Word's going to spread. He was right. Within months, every spacefaring civilization knew about the small blue planet that had defeated the Zephron Empire, about the soft, weak species that had sent the galaxy's most feared conquerors running. Humans were no longer ridiculed. They were respected. And sometimes, late at night in alien capitals across the galaxy, they were feared. Because now everyone knew the truth. Humans might look weak. They might seem primitive. But push them too far, threaten their home, and they would remind the universe why they had survived everything their own planet could throw at them. They would remind the universe that humanity's greatest strength had never been their bodies. It had always been their unbreakable will.